There's some personal thing playing. Is it okay we look into that? Do you hear me? Hmm. Hmm. Is the audio working?
It seems like Isaac is dropped out. Can you see him?
Oh. Mhm.
Your
Isaac is black, or the screen is black.
Yes,
So
for me
we wait.
also. I
Yeah,
think he has to come in again.
yeah.
okay, back. Can you hear me? Oh, not working.
Can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
much better.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Yeah. Um, I'm living in a sort of community. It's not really, it's more like an ecological community, something.
Mhm.
And there's one person and she triggers me that much that I pulled back from meetings where something has to decide. Um, um, and yeah, I did that for the last 2 years or something. So there came a lot of more rest in me, and last week we had a meeting about addressing the restlessness that is in this community. As many people are um, dissatisfied, and many people have moved. More people have pulled back, like, oh, I do not want to go to these meetings anymore. And we are not able to address it. And for me, a lot of has to do with this person. Um, she has a lot of resistance, and she doesn't want to, she's not able to look into herself. She does not see. So she is, for example, she says, I want a more that every person has the same amount of speech time. And she is not seeing that she has more, normally she takes more time than others. So that's a bit, yeah, this is just a sample. Yeah, what is the thing? The thing is, when I was in this meeting, like we want to address, well, what's going on here, then hope appears in me. There was a lot of identification I saw, and emotion came also. And a sleepless night after that. And now it's asking in me, shall I continue or just say, okay, now it's enough. It's never gonna work. So that's one part, and the other part is saying like, is it just fear that where I'm walking away from, like having a fear of elevators, so you do not never go in the elevator, and it helps, but the fear won't. Yeah.
Yeah. So a few things. One is you saw that something in you took care of yourself by not putting yourself in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But part of it was coming from the place of the triggering that happened. You said it triggered me rather than the triggering happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make a distinction. Is there a difference if I say I'm triggered or some old information is triggered? And what's the difference? And what effect does that difference make?
Yeah, and the second there's more spaciousness.
And there's more space then to receive whatever it has an opportunity.
Yeah.
When we say, it triggers me, there's identification with the trigger.
Yeah.
And then of course, from that perspective, you need to take care of yourself, which is fantastic, which you did. But then, like I say, that's a stop. It's like never go in elevators again, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that I noticed was you said that this woman, and I want to make a distinction between patterns playing in this woman and this woman. Is there a difference between those two things? So there's automatic unconscious patterns playing.
Uh-huh.
And up till now, you haven't felt like you have the skill set to invite a different possibility. So you felt, in a sense, trapped.
Yeah.
Haven't known, and yet there's an interest, not only for yourself, but for the whole community, and actually for everybody, for life, to take this opportunity and if it's projected onto this woman, then what happens is the thrust of your invitation is going to be to get her to change.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you can see that it's automatic, unconscious stuff, information playing in her, and it's not her at all, then you can address it quite differently. Because otherwise there's an unconscious projection onto her that she's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or I am wrong. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you're wrong, or wrongness exists, so to speak.
Yeah.
So there's an interest, and it's a beautiful opportunity, in my view. Okay, something's playing. You can see it touches some old information in you.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, the way of dealing with it was not dealing with it, just backing away.
Yeah.
Now you have the opportunity to see, okay, something got touched in you, something uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing it's just touching old information, it has nothing to do with it. It's just some old information.
What I can see is,
yeah.
What I can see in her is a lot of fear, but when I realize now, that's also seeing it in her, so that's still not seeing that it just plays.
Yeah,
It just
and
is there.
so you look, and it might be accurate that you see fear playing there, but what's more interesting is what does it touch in you? Not
yeah,
you.
rejection.
What does it touch in you? Rejection.
Yeah. When I come with emotion, then she is really afraid, and she's really, whoa, stop it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then emotion arouses more intense in me because of this stop.
Yeah.
And it's not a clear
and
stop.
Then,
it's like,
and then something in you feels like wrong.
Yeah.
You feel,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's like, so it's like, okay. So you can see that feeling when someone can't be present to an emotion that arises in you, that a feeling of being wrong arises.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go to gallery view for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And just to check, how many people know this in themselves? Where, I would be surprised if it's not everybody, because it's such a common dynamic. Yeah. So just to see, it's not personal. It's something that plays in almost everybody. Important to see that. Yeah. Okay, I'm back with you fully now. But it's important to see that it's not personal.
Yeah, that's
like a touch happens in us, and the touch shows up as an emotion, a movement away, and then when that's made wrong or not received, something in us tends to take it personally, and it actually feels life-threatening in a certain way. It feels existential, and something in us just wants to back away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, it's like then a dynamic set up where your happiness is projected like that. It's in her hands somehow. She has the capacity to take your happiness away.
Yeah.
And of course, not wanting to put yourself in that circumstance seems very logical. And it's like, wow, okay, I don't want to put myself in that circumstance. I understand. But that's a compensation. It's not really. It's a step, and it's a good step, because it's like, but it's also not the end of the inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a dynamic happening in your community
Mm-hmm.
that somehow is revolving around an automatic unconscious pattern playing in this person. And so it's an opportunity for the whole community in a way. Because, you know, especially when you're living in the community, in a way, it's almost like a marriage. It's like, you know, because your enjoyment of where you live and the projects you're involved in, all of that's involved in the dynamic. So,
Yeah. It's also a challenge sometimes to find language
absolutely. And so that's what you're doing now.
because
Developing the skill set.
yeah,
So
and it's more like an
but,
ecological community, not a spiritual community. And then
yes,
to
but
find
still,
language that's still
common sense is common sense, eh?
yeah,
You know,
of
it's like,
course.
and if you can speak it not from a spiritual thing, but just okay, look, stating the obvious. There's a dynamic playing in this in our field, in our community.
Yeah.
And I would love us to come together and find a way forward that's honoring everybody, and but that's not jumping over the fact that there's a dynamic playing. Because if we jump over that, there's a big price.
Yeah. Anyway, it's even so that C is saying, okay, dynamic is playing, but just okay, for one moment, and then we are continuing doing normal, then we can do it ourselves again. So the acknowledgement that there is dynamic playing is already a challenge to bring. Yeah. She's more in a top position, so yeah, from her perspective, it's more safe.
That's where you can say, look, this is my perspective, and it could be wrong, but I'm interested to see, because we are a community, how many here feel like there's a dynamic playing that's stopping us from really enjoying life together. And so you're involving everybody. So that's
I did
okay.
And then everybody raised their hands. Only she didn't do that, but the rest
that's okay. Okay, but okay, so then you say, okay. So we all feel it, except this person, and that's okay. We don't have to be in agreement about that. But now, the next step. What's the next step forward? Then, if you speak about you, not about her, but what happens in you, and that's very vulnerable and very naked. Like what happens in me is something gets touched where I don't want to participate, where something feels so threatening in me that I just want to back out of this.
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening for me for now this time. But something has changed now, and I'm coming. It's like it's time for me to bring that, and it's like it's related to, in my perception, a pattern, an unconscious pattern that's playing in. You can point to it, and this is my perception of it. It's like, I'm not saying it's how you are or anything. This is just how it's received here. So you're just being really naked. You know, you're not making a wrong. You're speaking about yourself. This is what happens in me. It's like and then you can ask again the group, does anyone else can recognize themselves in what I'm speaking about? And that's a strong, like in the community when it's like people are being that naked and saying, look, yes, this is what happens to me too. And it's like, it's not, you're not making anybody wrong, but you're saying, okay, there is a dynamic playing.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. And then if this continues, where does it go? What happens within the community?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that what mostly happens here is anger also, and yeah, anger. I don't know if that's naked. Is it
yeah,
naked
so
to?
yes, anger comes up in me. It's okay. You don't look just because
Mhm.
anger comes up in you, it doesn't mean you have to vomit it on anyone. You can just report it. Yes.
Yeah.
What comes up in me is like a feeling of powerlessness and then a feeling of anger that comes up to try and deal with the powerlessness because it really feels stuck in me and it feels like my enjoyment of being part of this community is at stake. And,
Yeah.
really, I'm investing
Yeah.
my life energy here. And it's like, it's not that, and I see, I don't want to vomit this anger over everybody, but this is what actually comes up in me. It's powerful, it's not just nothing. It's something that's,
No.
yeah. And what will
Yeah.
happen if it's not addressed is people will leave the community and the community will fracture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good luck.
It's practice. Let's practice. Let's learn. Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. You're in a learning. Look, we're always in a learning, moment by moment by moment. We're learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then sometimes I did so many like spiritual work or personal growth work and still I'm finding myself in this situation and oh man.
Probably till your last breath. Probably till your last breath, Hank.
Yeah.
Probably till your
Probably,
last breath, Hank. Yeah.
yeah.
Look,
Yeah, I
it's
know
like,
that.
yeah. So that's it's it's like, okay, now this is on my table. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just being gentle. Just being gentle. It's wow, far out.
Yeah.
They get to address this now. It's not like, oh shit, this is a hassle. It's, wow.
No. Yeah.
This is something, I could say it has a lot of energy and it's not for your benefit. It's really for the benefit of your whole community, but also for life. So being available to this inquiry is
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to see it.
Yes, true savor. It's true service,
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to see it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Isaac, for being with this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
And we can go to gallery view one more time just for a moment and just check if anyone got any value from that inquiry. Just you can see.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd say it's as far as I can see, as long as we're life is living us as human. That's what's on our plate, is dealing with what's left of the unconscious patterns playing in the field. That's all. They're not personal, for sure not. We all know them. Yeah. Rishi.
Hi.
Hi.
Life is playing us as human was a last sentence
Yeah.
I heard. And out of our last talk, yeah, something arises, and also question about this mind sensation, this split in the mind. On one hand, there's this tiredness, this procrastination, this postponing. And on the other hand, there's the thought, okay, when I go, for example, I go to gym or I step in the ice bath, do cold exposure, there's a huge shift in the mind. And it goes, seems like it goes more creative and more positive than. And I would like to hear some words from you about the topic. Maybe can.
So let's start with the basic. Who are you? There's what we call the bodying activity.
I can sense in this moment this bodying, the universe, some thoughts in a way.
Yeah.
This body is appearing in me. Also, the universe is appearing in me.
Okay, cool. So beyond this body, beyond this thinking,
I don't know.
yeah. So then now, within this bodying and this thinking, you're noticing patterns playing. Thoughts coming up, resistances, ideas, whatever. Some interest in that process, you could say.
Yeah, it's the interest in life, in aliveness, and it seems this procrastination is like a stone in the river.
And who's doing that procrastination?
A part of the mind.
Yeah. And who's doing that?
It's just happening.
It's just happening. Yeah.
So, but it seems that someone can say, okay, now I lift up my ass, I step in the ice bath, and the situation.
It seems like
body
that.
changes.
It seems like that.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So now you just watch it very carefully, and you see there comes a moment where maybe that happens, or another moment where something says, no, I don't do it today. I don't get in the ice bath. You just watch it. Just watch how that happens. What's going on. Something wants to, and something also doesn't want to.
Yeah. In a way, it feels like a pendulum,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a thought, and the thought said it should pendle in the middle.
Yeah.
And I can't do it.
Exactly. And if you watch closely, it happens much more often than you think. I mean, it's like it can be which exact moment you actually get out of bed, which exact moment it's like there's so many times during the day where, it's like, okay, it's time to go to bed, but I just want to watch one more thing on the TV. It's just, I mean, it's just,
And what you said to hang, it is till our last breath, like this.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just to be here. And, then we have ideas. Okay, I'd like it to be one direction, like somehow there's an idea of what's healthy, what's not healthy, what's, makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good. So you're just watching very closely. There you are beyond the body, beyond the mind, and watching these old, like you could say, viewpoints or and in a way everything's relative, like if somehow you've got 2 minutes to live, I don't know if you'll be thinking about an ice bath. So it's all relative in a certain way.
In the ice bath, to die in the ice bath, maybe that's it.
Yeah, maybe. When your attention is busy with procrastinating or not procrastinating, what's the potential for being present?
Small potential.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it's just what's the priority?
Yeah. Priority is to come out of this. It's like a loop, procrastination loop.
I mean, it's like, I look at Ramana's life. I mean, for him, it wasn't about ice baths or not. He just sat still, quiet under a tree, and not concerned with whether he was going to have the next meal or not. He didn't move for 7 years. I mean, we're not used to it. We're very used to somehow our comforts and what we, like our ideas and all the stuff. But somehow this interest in just being present. Rishi.
Thank you.
Rishi.
Hello.
Hey, Rishi.
So I'm interested. There's one thing we often say. We use the term compensation,
Mhm.
and I was curious what does that mean? How does it play? I have like a superficial understanding of it, let's say. I understand that we tend to compensate what we don't like with something we like so that we avoid the dislike. But
Yeah.
I would like to
So
understand.
it's just automatic, it's like our system has been conditioned and it's been carrying trauma. And so what happens when something arises, you could say that where there's some layer of dis-ease, not being at ease, our system will find a way to manage it. Not always not in a way that doesn't have a consequence, but in a consequence that we at least used to, or that's familiar, but it's not free, it's not clear. So I call that a compensation. It's just some way that the system organizes, usually automatically, usually unconsciously, that doesn't really meet what's going on fully.
So it's just something we do to try to cope with the discomfort. For example, I don't know, eating chocolate.
I don't even think we do it. I think it's just it's like there is no doer of it. It's just like an automatic response in a way. It can be like eating chocolate. It can be a whole bunch of stuff, just where the system does something that's familiar to it, it's like eating chocolate, unless it becomes such a problem that it's really having health issues for us or something, it's like, oh, yeah, great, I'll just eat a little bit of chocolate, it's, some compensations have much greater consequences. But, also like in intimate relating, something happens and there's a touch and the opportunity doesn't really get taken and it just sits underneath as something, that you kind of live around. And if that happens often enough, the relating goes kind of dead. It goes into a kind of a pattern or a habit that's not fresh anymore.
So, for example, dissociation would also be one way of compensation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's what the system does to kind of stay alive or
To survive. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say stay alive, to survive, yeah.
okay.
And yet it's happening within who we are. And nobody's doing it. It's just old habits, old automatic unconscious movements. And it's beautiful when they start to become conscious. It's all.
I started noticing that running away from discomfort or from pain was something I had never questioned before. It just felt like, that's what you do. You feel something, you feel a need,
I get it. It's like it, that's, you could say that's how most people on the planet function.
and it's not very frequent in our society to just
To stop and have a look.
just receive it. Yes, and it's okay. Like when you actually feel the discomfort, it's not as unpleasant as we make it actually.
For sure.
So that's where Ramana comes in. I feel somehow there are many layers through which we can kind of do that. Just like uh, not just let ourselves be our heart break open to whatever is happening. And I don't think I have that much stamina as he did to just like sit and but at
That's
least
okay. It's like, again, we can't really compare ourselves to anything because all we know is that this interest has come and it's become, in some of us a total priority, and to others it's like a partial priority. But it's just, and we can't decide that. It's just something that, like, it's like I don't think Raman had any choice in any of it. It's sort of like, somehow it took him like that, and that was it. And so
because it is a little bit like that. For example, to me, it is a total priority until the priority becomes to survive or
something else comes up.
yeah. And then eventually when whatever is, I don't know, takes over, subdues, then it goes back to it. But it's not something I'm out of my will. It's really
what's interesting in a way is that usually when there's a compensation, it comes with the rationalization and kind of justifying the compensation. It's so quick that they come together, and so it's like, okay, wow, yeah, it's that, like it projects onto someone or something, and then it's like, and there's a reason, there's somehow a rationalization for it, rather than, oh, it's just this, something got touched. Okay, it has nothing to do with me. Okay, I'm here. There's awareness here. That movement is not who I am. It's just an automatic, unconscious. Mechanism playing.
how anger works, no? Anger and blaming and
all of them, all of irritation, anger,
upset.
hurt.
and it doesn't work. The funny thing, it doesn't work. We've been doing it, oh, you know, timelessly, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and then you just, you know, who's been doing it? You can see something plays unconsciously. Nobody does it.
Very sweet when it stops.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Shanti, and it's a Turi afterwards. So Shanti right now.
Hello, Isaac,
Hi, Shanti.
and everybody. Oh, I just had a beautiful, seamless two-bus connection from the airport to home to be here for your invitation. So feeling, it's a beautiful day. Thank you.
There you go.
Hello, beloved.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Maya and then afterwards Louise. So Maya now and then Louise after. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking so much about those patterns, and Yesterday I got to see a pattern of my family very clear, on my mother's side and also in my big brother. And this night I felt like I woke up and thought, just watch it and just be calm with it, because it did upset my peace. And then on the other hand, we say it's not personally, but those patterns in my family history is kind of my family history. And other people have other patterns.
So actually, that's what I found, is that it's not true. All the patterns are very similar. At its core, Maya, at its core, it's like we have this moment,
Yes.
and something in us either goes yes or
Yes.
something goes no, and it's usually not conscious. It's not usually, there's nobody that does that. So something either contracts,
Mhm.
and that shows up as an emotion or thoughts, or usually some identification, a sense of me. And yes, we can see familiar patterns, which is, interesting. But then you track, how far back does it go and where does it come from? It's like it's. So to me, it seems like, over the years of exploring, doesn't matter what pattern comes, to be explored. When I ask, almost everybody knows it.
Yes. Yeah, I can grab that. And for the last many years, I took an education and I work around patterns, and I do feel when I do it, it's I'm finding more peace when I take it to heart and when I feel compassion about that trauma. But it's ongoing, because the patterns and the irrationalities is ongoing. The right wrong is ongoing.
Exactly.
So
that's why for me it's like important to see that from the perspective of me, the inquiry into it is for me personally, for me to have a better experience. In the seeing that there is no me, in the seeing that the sense of me arises from the pattern, the sense of me is a pattern. Yeah, exactly. Then you can see that as this inquiry gets finer and it's ongoing, so to speak. It's just like a gentle noticing where any contraction, any resistance is okay. Yeah, I see something is playing. It's not me, just some old information that thinks it knows what's going on, that thinks it knows how it should be, that thinks it knows. I mean, it's it's like, and so just being available, like, it seems to me that whatever this great intelligence is, it's using these expressions of itself, because that's all there is this great expression in all its different forms, and it's using. Yeah.
You think you move on if you actually heal it, or then I felt I came more home into peace. I feel more worthy of being who I am. I know it's all thoughts, but I stand much taller in my life nowadays. I know we're all bounded together. We're just energy. I know, that I felt more into peace in that sense. And it gave me more opportunity to handle things and stand tall for myself, and using my voice and all that comes with having awareness on the patterns. So I think I'm curious with you about how you deal with it, because we do that's why we're here on Earth. I think we are in Earth school, so we do deal with other people. We do, you know, and the integration of my awareness helps me in those situations.
So you see, it's for me, it's when I say for me, it's interesting because yes, we have this idea that we're dealing with other people, but then you look, what are we dealing with, and what is dealing with what? You know, you could say there's patterns, the residue of patterns in us that plays with the residue and patterns of other expressions. Whenever there's an upset, if we look, the upset usually isn't, we project it onto someone, but the upset is with an unconscious pattern playing in that person. And if you look what's upset, it's an unconscious pattern that's upset with an unconscious pattern.
Yes, yes.
So there's no me that's upset with someone else always, it's just a pattern with a pattern. So, you know, it's like, in some ways, we've been without realizing it, we've been measuring ourselves by our experience. So when it's peaceful, we go, yes, I'm peaceful. But when you see that actually, if there's a pattern playing or not, who we are is untouched, actually.
Yes.
So, you know, like that analogy that Papaji used with me, where he said, you know, on the surface of the ocean, it's wavy, and in the depths, it's very quiet. So somehow, like, there's no striving to always be peaceful. There's like, if something gets touched, wow, it's an opportunity. It's the ocean. It's not outside of itself, you could say like that, yeah? So we hear.
So what do you do with the opportunity, Isaac?
Just, there's an inquiry that springs to life. So, you know, like an interaction happens, our life is doing its thing, and I notice there's something that starts chewing on something, and I didn't like that, or didn't like this, whatever it is. And then I go, okay, yeah, something's playing.
But you do act out, you know, you do.
Not so much anymore. It's like, no, I mean, it can happen. I don't want to give a wrong image, but, you know, my life circumstances also pretty, you know, live in a beautiful surrounding with Mike and Caitlin. And so, you know, it's like I don't have much to bump up against, I could say it like that. And then, you know, yes, in everyday life, you know, car needs attention or something needs, you know, and then it's just okay. And then just watching, some days, you know, the phone calls are really easy and other days they're not, and just watching, okay, so the phone calls aren't going through today. So there's, you know, like, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or something breaks, or, you know, it's like, okay, now something's broken, okay.
Yeah.
You have to find someone that can fix it.
Yeah. So not so much behind, you know. But that is the easy part, because when it gets to
Because
family,
otherwise it becomes like a seeking, you know, it's like constantly on the lookout to get somewhere. But to me, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like whatever this is, it's here. And within it, there's the information of the whole universe. And at times that information gets wobbly or vibrated. And then it's curious. Okay, well, that's interesting. Right.
so you are curious about what's when
Yeah,
something
just
arises.
for sure, yeah. And for me, it's like I know it has nothing to do with me. So that's lucky, I could say, because those years of believing it had something to do with me or it meant something about. And seeing, okay, no, it's just an opportunity
Yeah.
that's universal, I could say.
Yeah. I feel more like that too. You
Yeah,
know.
fantastic. Yeah, that's just refining, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, the identification with the touches starts to get easier, you could say.
Yeah. But it's nice to have these conversations to see what's actually playing out in how do you do it, because it feels like it arises yesterday, and I got curious, and I got to understand more of my family patterns, and it was just like I haven't seen it before, and it was kind of beautiful also, even though it's painful too. And yes, I'm just unfolding and curious about it.
Yeah, look,
And in that sense, I agree. It's not my personally, but yeah.
And we're living in such an intense time at the moment, with, how can I say, on the world stage. The world stage is always intense in a certain way, but at the moment there's such a polarization. There's, like the world has been through this whole so-called pandemic, and now it's all coming out actually, like it was planned, that there were people that actually, like they knew that ivermectin worked, and they couldn't say that everyone had to take a vaccine unless they could say ivermectin didn't work.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things going on there that you could say, wow, how, like, what was the mindset of this totality that could do something like that? And so, it's like, and I see there's still, people who think all kinds of opinions about everything. Just watching what's happening in Ukraine and Gaza, and it's like it's endless, and just, hey,
Yeah.
life is cheap in a certain way and just easy to, and just going,
Wow.
it's heartbreaking. It's like, I don't have it in my immediate. I look out at nature. I just see there's nature here, and it's,
Yeah.
and I know some people are living in war.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that the vaccine could upset me back in those days, and because I had to take responsible. Do I want it? Do I don't? I didn't want it, but but nowadays with Trump, I don't. It doesn't. I just see what's playing out. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I don't really
invested. Yeah, invested in. But
No,
I
I'm
see.
not invested in it. I can
I
see it.
see how polarized the world is.
Yeah.
It's like it's so polarized.
And it's kind of, I can see through it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just what he's doing, and yeah. Thanks for your time and
Thank you. I mean, I think it's so beautiful that we have some time where we can just look at things together and just
really
like share notes, in a sense, in this love affair.
Yeah. I really appreciate that.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Louis, I'm looking for you. There you go. Right on the side of my screen. Hi.
Hello, Isaac.
Hi, Diraj, I'm with Louise at the moment. You're welcome afterwards.
Okay, okay.
I'm feeling some really strong sensations at the moment. And so it's really wonderful to be able to sit like this in presence. Yeah.
Lovely to sit with you and just to be present. That's not looking for a solution, not it's just that. Who we already are.
It's actually really helpful in some way to have the experience of very strong bodily sensations and still have a primary experience of presence like this, actually.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much.
Diraj.
I want to ask that process of sexual activity or making love, is there a energy transmission also somewhere? Is it, do we share information in that act?
Of course, you know, but it's like the way the majority of what we call people relate is through a habit of attention that we turn everything into an object. So when we involved sexually, there's a whole bunch of programs of trying to please and trying to be pleased and trying to be so many things, you know. It's just like, rather than just feeling the love and allowing the love to express itself, there's all these other programs that are playing in the background. And of course, you know, it's like, it's touching some of the deepest, I would say the deepest patterns that play in us. Wanting to be loved, wanting to be seen, wanting to, you know, feel secure, feel safe. So, lots of information.
So it is good to have only a single partner, right?
I have no idea.
Patterns in the form of thoughts only, or are there other things except thoughts?
Yeah. Without thoughts, there's not much, eh?
No, like bodily sensations are without thoughts also. Some patterns like somewhere tightness happens, that is without thought sometimes. So
yeah.
that
So
is also
what's interesting, you know, like this moment is a sensation because we're just in the field of information that our senses can receive. And our senses only pick up a small amount of the information that's here. But usually that information is interpreted through our conditioning, through our trauma, and then we end up with a perception. But that that perception is an interpretation. It's not reality. So, like I was saying earlier, there's like either the sensations that are received as the beloved, or something in us goes, no, the sensation is not what I signed up for. Something doesn't want it. And so then thinking starts and all that stuff. Yeah.
So I heard somewhere that Papaji used to look into the eyes of someone and the transmission used to take place. So can you do that also?
Nobody does that. I could say there's always information flowing. Yeah. When we rest together, there's information happening.
So the best thing is to be at ease, na? Ease, right?
So the interest is to rest is what you've always been. Ease and dis-ease will come and go. You can't hold on to any of those.
What we have been, what is that?
That's a good question. So we're here now. There's sensations. There's the interpretation of the sensation. In that interpreting, a sense of me, sense of I happens. The sense of like evaluating the moment as if somehow we know something, when in truth, if we look, we don't know anything actually. And what we have is this moment, and then some idea that we can get somewhere, or that there's someone that can get somewhere. But here we are. All of that is appearing in something. You can't say what it is.
It is going over my head. Okay, I will try another time then.
No problem. Yeah.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Comes.
Somehow it became clear to me that we cannot stop all these patterns of just playing, and I recognize the field in which it's playing, but the recognition itself, it was a little bit still connected to the sense of I. But the recognition itself, it's happening in awareness as well, of course, in the noticing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some, when I say I notice, I feel a kind of a power and a kind of understanding. But when I see that this noticing is a kind of happening in awareness itself, there is a different power, which is, yeah. And kind of the patterns are losing their power as well, in awareness work. It's not, there is no reason to stop it or to, because they did already lose their power. It was, yeah. So in that, the strange, because I feel a kind of a softness, and of course I was longing for that, but yeah. There is not so much left of an I this moment. I feel that there's a kind of love flowing, but instead that I'm longing for it, there is a kind of inquiring of it. I mean, the inquiring doesn't have to stop, actually. Yeah? I think.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
No, yeah, I can feel that now. And I want to thank everybody actually for the great bring today, because I had a little bit the same things this week, but I'm always a little bit late of speaking of it. I first have to land, and so thanks to everybody to bring up the themes. Yeah.
Thank you. Tina, thank you for hosting. Thank you, beloveds, for being here. Love.
Love.
Peace,
Bye.
beauty. Ciao.